Well, welcome back to another Jazz Matters podcast. I'm Edwin Williams with Jazz Matters, and we have, of course, Mr. Vaughn Coulter there with Jazz Beats Radio. Uh, we want to
Yes,
go ahead and get
indeed. Good
started.
afternoon, everyone.
Yes, we want to go ahead and get started. And before we do that, we would like for you to subscribe to this podcast, also to like us, and also go to the Jazz Matters page, yesjazzmatters.org. And that way you can learn about Jazz Matters, which is a 501c3 organization. And we are here, we do our podcast here every Monday night around 7:30. We have a different guest. We also have the Jazz Matters store, which you can find some apparel that you would like, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, and all kinds of little stuff on that site. So Vaughn, we'll be joined today with an old friend of mine, Mr. Lloyd Oby, who's a trombonist and a great individual overall. We are gonna wait for him to sign in. But in the meantime, at Jazz Matters, what we're doing, we're working on some virtual concerts. We're also trying to get, of course, some things for some fundraisers and so forth. And don't forget, when you go to yesjazzmatters.org, go to the donate page and donate to us. Like I said, we are 501c3, and we basically survive on the donations. So what we're gonna do now, Vaughn, is anything new in the news, in the jazz world that you've run across?
I came across an article, and I've been kind of going over it. Going over it for the last couple of days. It was the 1964 Berlin Jazz Festival that took place, and how it's currently being reviewed by a lot of experts right now, because it was a speech that Dr. King gave at the Berlin Jazz Festival regarding the impact of jazz and how he had virtually commissioned it to be the music of the civil rights period. And he said a lot of very, very impactful things about the music and what it meant to the civil rights movement during that time period. Of course, this was like people going back and looking at Dr. King's life and what was going on during that time period, and they kind of came back and looked at this article, based on his speech at the Berlin Jazz Festival, and it was quite impactful because he said a lot of things that this music has always had, and how the creation of it spoke to us as a people and spoke for us as a people. And it was quite impactful. Just reading it again, there's a lot to be said about what's forgotten in that speech, and how the music really hasn't changed much. It still represents the culture that created it. It's just that in our contemporary times, we have forgotten all of those things. And in my reading of it, I figured that is an important thing. It's a beautiful speech, by the way. So, it's a statement that needs to be reevaluated and brought back to the forefront, because I don't know how society can cherry pick what they want out of that art form and be financially successful with it without all the stuff that created it. I just don't understand how it continues to do these things. Um, and I've kind of compared it to where it is now, as you know, being on the radio side, having a platform of a radio station available to me. I think that I'm looking at it from a perspective of the art form versus what the media does to it. It doesn't make any sense because you've got all of the classicism of an originality and authenticity of it, but you don't want that. You just want the art form to make money off of. And I don't see how you can separate the two. You understand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what has happened was the media caused it to change from the actual, the heritage and culture to more of an image, not so much, an art form anymore. It's more now like an image. And with an image, it it is, it's like you can see it, and you basically don't have any depth to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like buying something and putting it on a shelf. Well, you got it there. It's the image of whatever that is. So you moving on into
Mhm.
other things, but you don't know the depth of that. Of the jazz culture. You see what I'm saying? And heritage.
Right.
And that is one of the things I can see, like what you said, like not being able to understand it. What happens is, unfortunately, uh, we have become pretty much a nation of images, uh, as pertaining to just about everything. The cultural end has to continue to fight to exist right now. We really have to. The cultural and heritage end of it seems to have been put on the back burner just for whatever can make mainstream profit. It's come down
Mhm.
to that pretty much. I think. But where can you actually find? Do you have the information on where you can actually find that article?
Yeah, it's I got it off of one of the um, um, I think prominent jazz media platforms. Jazz.org has that. Um, Jazz Quotes is another important platform as well. And I'm thankful that I was able to still tap into those two sources for information regarding the history of the music and the cultural impact that it has. So I just, when you come across these things, you know, you you see over time what has been, extracted from the art form, primarily for, for increasing revenue with companies that want to tap in just to, get what the benefits of the music is, rather than including the greats who created it, the impact it had, and the cultural aspect of where it came from. You see, and so I just I have a very negative vibe about that. What I call appropriation is done to it. I mean, you got to take you just can't throw the just cherry pick. I don't think you can just cherry pick stuff like that out of it. It's bigger than that. It's
Right.
much bigger.
And going back to I had a conversation with an old friend that lives in Berlin now, and he has a great idea for making jazz heritage and culture more on the forefront versus where it is now on the back burner. And his idea basically is to to educate the public. Like, in other words, the artists that perform where he is now, he is more interested in actually having the public come together, uh, basically for a jazz seminar on the culture and heritage of jazz, so that they could be educated about who they listen to, what they're listening to, and so forth. So that's a great platform that even Jazz Matters, we're looking into that to do that, because until you educate the public, I think, and just like he was thinking, and it was a great idea of his, and I hope that he gets it off the ground over there. Uh, it would be a lot easier to support the art form itself, you know, for people in the public to support, simply because now they'll have the knowledge, and they'll be able to see it firsthand, you know, being performed, and they'll understand the culture and the heritage a lot better. So that right there is one of the things that I don't think is, as long as media is controlling certain things, you know what I'm saying, you're only going to get, you know, just so much of what they want you to have. So, you know, that's my take on that, you know, and it's interesting. Like I said, the article that you were checking out, everybody can, if they can go to it, you give them that address again, so they'll know exactly where to go find it.
Yeah, you can find it at Jazz Quotes. That's QUOTES.com or jazz.org. And those two sources are highly valuable regarding any information based on, articles that were written, musicians, biographies, their impact on the industry and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's always been a great source to go to. And yeah, I would say check it out. Yeah,
Right.
if you're a true jazz head, those two places would be very, very good to check out.
Yeah. Now, I see that our guest is trying to come on. We don't have a video of him yet. Okay, now I see it. He's looking at me through his magnifying glass. It's like a spy thing, you know.
I was going to say, like,
Okay.
see,
Yeah. Yeah, Lloyd, can you hear me? I think he can. I think he's looking for. He might be doing it over his phone, you know, so everything is small.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay then. Well, when Inspector Gadget gets back, well, okay, here we go. All right. Lloyd, can you hear me? I don't know if he's able to hear me or. Lloyd, can you mute? Can you unmute your mic? You know, that's another thing about a lot of jazz musicians. Uh, they tend to not be as technically savvy as they should be now. You know, the adjustment is a little bit slower, you know, to the technology. You know, you're thinking about people that are accustomed to doing things hands on, and it's always music all around them. So, you know, that's why the technology comes in second. You know, that's something that they don't do. But like I'm pretty sure you get it in there since he's come this close.
Yeah, I'm sure. Figure it out.
You're gonna have to. Is your audio still muted, Lloyd? Can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us. But he might have to unmute his audio. But anyway,
Yeah,
he'll get around to it.
Right.
Yeah, he'll be struggling for about another hour at least, you know. But anyway, that's where it goes. But anything else on the horizon on your end? You know, there was a great I saw on television the other night, uh, Louis Armstrong and different musicians playing at a concert. I think it was called a Sunday Summer or something like that. But it was kind of nice. So, Lloyd, are you with us, Lloyd? Unmute your mic. Your mic is muted. I can't hear you.
He's trying to speak, but he, you
I
know.
see you moving your mouth, but there ain't nothing coming out. I assume you can hear me, but we can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I can see his mic is still got the little red bar through it. So
Yeah, your mic still has that little red bar. You got to unmute it. So touch on that.
Can you hear me now?
there you
Yeah,
go.
we got you
There you
now.
go. He got it now.
All right, now we cooking with gas.
Yes, sir. All right. And we're here, like I said, today, guest, Mr. Lloyd Oby. And I was letting the people know when you were wrestling with that thing with your magnifying glass, I was like, I was under the microscope. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, wait a minute now. He's gonna
Look,
see something he don't want to see.
no. My eyes are not young anymore.
Tell me about it. But anyway, okay, Lloyd. This is Vaughn Coulter up here with Jazz Beats Radio. And
Wow.
Vaughn,
How
this
you
is
doing,
Lloyd
Lloyd?
Oby. Yes.
Hey man, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing just fine on this brisk, cool, deep South winter day.
I love it.
Hey, okay. So Lloyd, for all the people that don't know, Lloyd has done quite a few things, has quite a few accomplishments in the music itself. Of course, we met a long time ago, and we've pretty much been really close and tried to stay as close a contact with each other as possible, even to today. And
Always.
there is some other things that Lloyd has done. I know, first of all, Lloyd, let everybody know who don't know you, where you from and how you got into the music business.
Well, my name is Lloyd Oby. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was born in New Orleans. My mother's side is from New Orleans. My father's side from Baton Rouge. I grew up in Baton Rouge. And I've always wanted to be in music, you know, from seeing Johnny Carson Band and all of those guys. Even when I was a little kid, you know, I wanted to play drums when I saw Buddy Rich. And then I wanted to play saxophone and went to the store to get a saxophone with my grandfather. I tell this story a lot. And we was there and my grandfather asked the guy, how much is the saxophone? And he said, $300. And my grandfather said, son, you can't play saxophone. So my band director just happened to be in the store at the time. And, you know, they would take the taller guys in junior high school and give them, you know, let them play the trombone because they could reach down the slide a little bit. So he said, he looked like a trombone player. I said, well, what is that? So the guy took the trombone out and I saw it. I said, oh yeah, I want to play one of those. My grandfather said, how much is that? He said, $125. He said, you can play one of those. So that's how I got started playing. And I always just wanted to do anything that was music. I was in, you know, the band at school. We tried to put bands together in the neighborhood. So I did both things, you know, well, in Louisiana, they call them parish bands, all parish, all state. I did all of that, but at the same time, I was playing in the nightclubs at night. So I was in both worlds, and that kind of took me a ways down the road. So I just did it all, big bands, you know, of course, with people like Joe Jennings and Bill Brandon and all of those guys around here, and Alvin Baptiste and Ellis Marcellus back in Louisiana, you know, just trying to hang around guys that were doing a lot of stuff and just learn all I can from those kind of guys. So, and I've just done a lot of recordings and played with a whole lot of artists over the years as a freelance trombonist, and talked and pitched, sang background, just reinvented myself whatever way I needed to do just to keep doing it. And, you know, dealing with the school, I just wasn't as good. I tried to teach, but it just didn't work for me. I just wasn't a good teacher. But I just played a lot and still doing it, you know, all the way up to doing stuff with Janelle Monae and, you know, Outkast, from way back all the way up to now. So I've been blessed.
Hmm.
Yeah, so just to keep doing things and not get, I've done everything but made $1 million, but I've done everything else.
Well, Lord, you did have something that you were doing. Uh, this has been a while back with the Mercer Ellington big band, right? Did you go
Well,
to audition for that group, that band?
I was about 23 at that time. That's a long time ago. But when I was at Southern University's jazz band, we won the Mobile Jazz Festival, if anybody familiar with that. We won that and with that big band. So Mercy Ellington pulled about a lot of guys out of that band. And I had the offer to play in that band, but I turned it down because me, Charlie Singleton, and a bunch of guys had a group together, and Cannonball Adderley wanted to produce us. That was around 77. And later on, Cannonball Adderley wanted to produce us. So we were headed out to California. Cannonball Adderley died when we were on our way out there. So then I called Mercy back to try to get with him, and it was too late. So I was his alternate trombone player for a while.
Okay.
You know, and then when Charlie and them got a deal with, I talked with Charlie the other day, well, they got a deal with Billy Cobham, and they didn't hesitate to go. And I said, wow, maybe I should have went when they offered me to go. But everything happens for a reason. I truly believe.
Oh yeah. So, Lloyd, what do you have anything going now? What are you doing now in music? Now I know it's been rough on everybody because of the pandemic, and pretty much a lot of stuff has been shut down. Do you think? I know you're also working with several groups right now. I know you have your own group, and you're also working with another group you've been with a long time. But is it anything else? Like, are you doing something on yourself? For yourself, like writing or recording? Right?
Well, yeah, I'm always writing. Edwin, me and you did a lot of writing together. So, that's one thing that me and you, since we met, one thing about musicians, when you first meet somebody, and it's like anybody, either you're going to be friends or you're just going to pass each other by in life. But you and I, when we first met, it was like I always knew you. And we started writing as soon as we hooked up and we started playing together. And that doesn't happen. That's a spiritual thing. And so, Mike Lockett, he has his own studio down in Louisiana. And of course, it's a project that you and I are going to be involved in with that. And also, I have a group that we've been working with over for the last few years called the OBEWI Band, and we're finishing up a CD now, 10 songs, and we're doing some stuff with Doc Samuels. I know he's a fantastic bass player and vocalist, and we've been writing together and collaborating with different stuff. As a matter of fact, like I said, so we're getting that finished up. So we've been busy during the pandemic, staying in our own little bubble, doing a lot of stuff, and just through the grace of God, we're surviving, and we've kind of survived on our little savings that we've had, and we just keep keeping it going. So in spite of what's going on, we still have special grace from God where we're still keeping a lot of things going on, and they're just going on. It's actually been a blessing in the middle of all of this stuff we're going through. We're still, getting our blessings. So just doing a lot of stuff. We're doing a lot of stuff.
Vaughn, you have anything? I know Vaughn told me that he was an old trombone player from back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the mid '70s.
Oh wow.
I was a trombone player in middle school. I grew up in California, Compton, California, in fact, and played the trombone for about 6 years.
I teach private lessons. You can pick it back up if you want to.
Yeah, I think Edwin asked me that question the other day, and I'm like, I don't think I don't think I still have the aperture for it. So,
It's a
you
rough
know,
band, and
yeah, I know. And
that trombone
I'd
is a
rather
rough
listen to
instrument.
somebody. I'm at the point now where I'd rather listen to great trombone players. I think when I was a kid growing up, the first time I heard Wayne Henderson, I said, "That's who I want to be. I want to
Me
be
too.
Wayne Henderson." Yeah,
I met
'cause,
Wayne Henderson. We were in Germany, and I met Wayne, and he asked me a question. You know, Wayne is a funny guy, man. He said a trombone player and a turtle was walking down the road. He said the turtle was going to a gig. He said he didn't know where the trombone player was going.
Yeah, that's a musician's joke there.
That's a musician's joke. That's an inside joke.
Yeah, that's inside.
But that's what he told me. That's what he said, man.
Right.
And it was so funny to
Okay.
me. We both cracked up on about it. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lloyd, that was a great joke. You just got to work on your timing a little bit. You know, you deliver.
Well, you know, like I said, the larger the crowd, the smaller I get on being a comedian. But bro, you know, when me and you in the studio, we cracking up all the time. So when a small crowd,
all day long.
Yeah, right. But
So,
when it get to be a big crowd, that's a different story.
Oh yeah, you're serious then, you know, about what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Lloyd, what do you see, man? We were talking a little bit about the culture and the heritage of jazz seems to be put on the back burner, even though you know there are some people out there doing things. The problem I have with everything is the fact that mainstream has abandoned the music. You know, in other words, you know, when we were all coming up, you could hear jazz on mainstream radio at any given time. You know, and you had an avenue. You didn't just listen to one thing or the same 10 songs, you know, day in and day out.
Right.
Because you know the radio stations were so diverse at that point. Now everything you know is formatted to a profit. You know, on as far as whatever it is, the type of music that's drawing the youngest crowd to it. What they've done and put their audience that supported them from the beginning on the back burner. You know, so what do you think as the way you see it? The music itself in mainstream right now.
This is something by design, and I hate to put it that way.
Well, speak the truth then.
I think it's something by design.
Right.
Hold on one second. And I think that I was with the SOS Band like in the early '80s, and I saw this thing coming on, and you know, and I think that is some people just wanted to dumb us down. You know, well, that's what the people like, or that's what the people want. I don't believe that, because I think if we listen to Chinese music all day long, we would like Chinese music. So you know, and it's not a racial thing, because I know a lot of great white musicians and musicians of all races that are great. They don't have a chance, and you know, and I respect people. Rappers like Outkast, I respect their business and I respect them. T.I., I love him. He seemed to be a great guy. But I don't understand why sometimes people who, not T.I., I'm not calling any names, but some musicians can't carry a note in a bucket, and they're at the top of the music business. It doesn't make sense to me. But it's the people who are in control that, this is what I think, that decided that they're going to make sure that these guys get big for whatever reason. And to make a long story short, I think it's by design. I really do.
Well, I think so too. But one of the reasons why you know these people get that situation right now is because the industry itself is not marketing talent per se. it's marketing images, and in those images, you have the garment industry, you have, you know, I'm saying, transportation industry. All of these people
Right.
benefit from, you know, what the people are seeing in the videos, or what these artists are doing. So I
Right.
mean, if you think about it, when the rap music started on the scene, when it started getting big, I'm talking about after uh, what was the Rappers Delight and all those different types of groups. Uh, the images of what they were wearing versus what they were riding in, you know, just that image was what the mainstream media started selling. And they found
Right.
out that they can make more money if they throw these things out there. All these different industries, like I said, the automobile, the garment industry, they just started cleaning up. You know, they started making money off of it, you know.
Right.
So that's one of the things I've noticed about that. And then lifestyle. A young person coming up, when they see a video of a well-known rapper, that young person, it's just like a cartoon. They're gonna love that image, and they're gonna want to be like that image. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they're gonna spend the money, get the tattoos, get the clothes, get the hairstyle, and all that's going to different industries, you know, economically. And
Right.
and on the other end, it's taken away the culture of the music. See, because like you said earlier, some of these people out here couldn't carry a note in a bucket, you know. But the
Now,
thing about it is they didn't have to, because the bucket's not full of notes; it's full of images and a
it,
lifestyle. You see what I'm saying?
right.
That's the whole
Now,
deal.
I've heard, you know, when I'm on the road with certain groups and their kids are with us, and I get a chance to listen to a lot of rap stuff. Some of it is full of energy. Some of it is absolutely great and deserve to be where it is, because you can feel the energy coming from this music. Others is talking about shooting guns and calling people this name and that name, disrespecting everybody. Those are the ones that, uh, uh, to me, that should not be there. I think everything is all fair. And I think that a lot of times, you know, that's why I had decided with me and people like Thomas Dunn and Bobby Latham and Chico Joseph and like that, decided to put something together ourselves, because uh, we have to be the one to, you know, to be the ones to uh, put it together ourselves, and to make sure that it's there, and do what we can, you know, like just stay ship shape, and then we'll let the waves of nature and God let us get to where it needs to be. But like I said, I believe in all types of music. I just don't believe that you should uh, treat a certain kind of music with a dismissive attitude. You know, I mean, uh, Miles Davis is loved today like he was in the past. People love him, and Coltrane and all of. So everything has its place, but you shouldn't push out certain things. And like you said, the project that we're going to work on, God's willing, uh, I think it will express what we want to be our fellow men and our people to hear. Because you want it to be uplifting, and that's the main thing, in my opinion. The music should be uplifting and express something. I think I learned that for you, because you know you're one of the best jazz bass players that I know, and you have a great knowledge of jazz. Uh, but we know that has already been expressed, so it's out there, and we have to continue to move on and be expressive, but make sure it's quality and not just a bunch of insane, crazy stuff. You know.
So, Vaughn, you got anything to add to that?
I totally agree with it. Um, you know, I struggle with discussions I have with my older son, and he's he's trying to make inroads into the hip hop and rap area right now. And it's sometimes I don't want to say it becomes intense, but it becomes a little frustrating sometimes because he's trying to sell me on the whole drum beats, sequencer type material, and I'm old school. I love acoustics. I love horns, strings, orchestration, composition, chord changes, and
Right.
that's the thing I'm wishing if the music's going to stand the test of time, if hip hop and rap is going to stand the test of time, these things must come back because none of those things are going to. I mean, the human condition doesn't react well to electronics. And that's just my opinion. I mean, computers and stuff like that, the human condition just doesn't react well to those things. Music back in the day had an emotional connection to humanity, and computers and things like that just don't connect. At least not to me. And me being in radio and having to have this history of understanding what this music has done to what our culture has done with this music. It I don't know. I It's just hard for me to reconcile with what this what that medium is doing. But that's just my
I agree.
opinion.
Well,
I agree.
if there were more, I think more venues where you can express the type of music you're talking about, then I think it'll have a better impact uh, culturally. You know, doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be uh, sitting right neck and neck on mainstream radio with some of the rap type stuff because before all that, they did kind of coincide, together
Right.
until marketing from the stations was taken over by people who just seem to go after profits versus heritage and culture. So, but I think if there were more venues, that you can go to, like, because all of us that are talking here now, when we came up, there were many venues that we could go into to actually hone our skills in. Uh,
Right.
Back in the day, we had gigs called house band gigs, which were, if you were a good enough band, you were there for at least a month at a time, or at least a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you were
Right.
honing your craft every time you made a move. You were in a place and you were playing live to an audience and seeing exactly what the response of that audience is, because that was what based it. That's what based the length of time that you were going to be there. Was the
Right.
reaction of the audience back in the day. They don't have those anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, Everybody that goes, I've seen several young groups that go into a place and they're good for one night, but I don't think they have the consistency to stay in this 6 nights a week, for
Right.
2 weeks. They're already burnt out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's only because they can do the gig, but they don't understand how to grow while they're doing that. What do you
Right.
think, Lloyd?
I agree because you have to have an understanding of what music is. Like I said, music started out um, in slave fields. It was a gift. Uh, it came out of agony and pain.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
music, it
oppression.
was something that, yeah, that eased that pain and gave us a gift. It's a gift. And the voice, which is natural. Um, you have uh, acoustic instruments like the bass, uh, which strings are vibrating, and those vibrations, and you have like instruments where the reeds and brass instruments where it's actually flesh, it's vibrating against metal, which all of that comes out of the ground, earth tones. And, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
you have to understand and have that. People may not know that, well, this song makes me feel good. It's because of those vibrations that are coming, you know, that are coming from those different instruments. And like I say, electronics to me are just recordings. They're recordings of that, you know, of those sounds, and you'll get a little something from it. But you have to understand that most business people, I'm dealing with some business people now. They don't. Some of them don't are tone deaf, but they do see how business goes and try to get stuff on the radio. If they see something they think will sell, a lot of times they look at the reaction of other people. They don't, you know, so they don't understand, in my opinion, the importance of what the purpose of music is. Like I said, the only thing they're doing is thinking about numbers. Everything has its place, and they should know to put everything in its place. You know, now, you know, you had back in the day where, as far as jazz is concerned, people that are a little older than me, if they were in the marching band back at Southern University, and somebody would play a jazz lick, they'd put him out of the band. They would put him out of the band for playing a jazz lick. At the same time, North Texas State was forming jazz departments and teaching jazz. So, you know, we have to understand where a lot of different people's heads are in what we're trying to do. And so we can do our best in our, you know, with our limits and where we are to help make, just like what you're doing, Edwin, to make people aware and let people know that if it's jazz playing somewhere, you need to support that and come and see it and learn from it and enjoy it. And, you know, and that's what we have to do.
Yes.
You know, so
the educational part is so critical at this point. You know, as far as jazz music and any music, as far as that goes, because like you said, when you made the relationship between earth or the earth tones that are being channeled through the acoustic players, and just as it was back in the day with the field singers, like that.
Right.
Those things were simply accepted widely because they were grounded. You know, there was something there that everybody had. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The expression was what made it appealing, you know, to the person. Now, the electronic stuff, the drum machines, or the young people call them beat machines, that, like you said, it is an electronic pulse that does not, and it is not grounded. You see what I'm saying? That's the other thing that a lot of people got to understand. All that stuff is not grounded. In other words, it's not spiritual.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And so but they accept it. You know, they've come to the point to where mainstream has driven a wedge between fantasy and reality. In all seriousness, you know what I'm saying? And everything that's happening on the electronic end is reality. It's fantasy, but be accepted as reality. See what I'm saying? And that's kind of I don't know where it's going. You know, from that point. You know, it would be just like looking at a science fiction movie. You know what I'm saying? Like Wakanda. It does not exist, but you saw how many people were adapted to that. You know what I'm saying? It felt like it was.
Right, like and that makes reality. It hard that makes it hard to accept reality.
Exactly.
You know, because if you're used to the bunny rabbit, you know, the Easter rabbit, and you used to characters on the cartoon and people into all of these heroes, and it makes it hard for when reality is actually there. It makes you not fully accept reality.
Yeah, I mean, look at what we just went through. Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, just look at what we just went through a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's an alternate universe. That's exactly what it is.
That was reality. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Although, you know, everybody say, "Oh, we are one united country," then you saw really what the reality is.
Right.
You know, which is definitely a whole nother picture.
a whole nother picture, a picture that we've always seen,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I'm optimistic. I believe that uh, when you see that, now a lot of people are going to run to reality because they see the ugly face of falsehood.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and then make your choice,
But yeah,
you
because it's
know.
the same way in the music. You know, it's like pretty soon, you know, will have to face the fact that, you know, music is a grounded channel of vibration that
Right.
is pretty much set in every human organism on the planet. Let's say it like that. It is in you already, natural. When you
You know,
decide to
when we,
stop drinking that Kool-Aid, then you find out that it is something that you actually feel. It's like what Bond says all the time, it's soul. And that's
you
it.
know, I'm blessed to be friends with people like you, Edwin, because see, I might have told you this before, but you know, your bass, when we used to play, if you played one note, that would just, that note would bring a certain vibration through my body that made me feel good. When, you know, sometime when I play with people uh, in bands and the trumpet player might hit a high E, the sound of that note is a satisfying sound to me. And, you know, I remember, you know, listening to people like Roland Kirk, and he gets going, just doing some things, and the sound itself brings about a tranquility to you. And just the sound, not to mention when you start playing songs, but just the sound itself. So,
And you know, Lloyd, that was something I think I might have mentioned it to you, Brian, also. That when I came up playing, uh, my father took me to some places to see other players, bass players, and he said, I don't want you to play like them. I want you to find your own identity. You got to find your own self. And sonically, that's something that's taken me a lifetime to do. You know what I'm saying?
right,
It's
right,
not something that you can necessarily teach an individual, but they have to experience that. That's how they start building their sound. You see, it's just like
right.
the same with your trombone. When I hear your trombone, I kind of feel the same way I do when I'm playing the bass. You see what I'm saying? I can
Right,
feel it. It's grounded, you know. But
exactly.
when you
And
hear it,
that's the basis of it. And then you move on from there. You know, that's what, you know, I've heard my grandfather, you know, he used to say that uh, what God gives you is his gift to you. What you do with what God gives you is your gift to him. So, and I've always kind of held those basic things that my grandfather said, things I've learned along the line, and tried to apply it to everything. And and that's what we have to do. Like I said, I have a lot of faith that uh, we're going to overcome a lot of things. It's just sometimes darkness just help us appreciate light. When we, you know, in darkness and pain, then when the sun comes out, I say, oh man, the sun is so wonderful. And it'll make us appreciate the light because light overcomes darkness, you know, and you got to save yourself,
right?
and then you can save other people, you know.
Lord, I know you've done some, like you had mentioned earlier, you've done some work with SOS Band, and you did some
Yeah.
work with quite a few people. But what was that experience like when you were working with people like Rick James and other well-known
Well,
R&B artists?
well, you can be a great musician and still not have a balance of right and wrong. We run into those kind of musicians all the time. So, you know, if you know, Rick James was a absolute, he would use his whole band, what I would notice, write songs. I like to do that too. If you can be with a whole band and create with that band live and everybody, that's a, James Brown did it. You know, had the pleasure of playing with uh, uh, Bobby Bird, and I learned a lot about writing from him and how, you know, when James Brown movie, even when he said, you know, if it feels good, don't get too technical, but if it feels good, go there. And that's true, you know. And, you know, because you have to get out of the box. And I've noticed that with a lot of people. You know, when I was with the SOS Band, you know, everything that horns, SOS Band is different now. But when I got with them, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. It was just, you know, even when we would write and create together. And it was, I learned a lot from that. And then playing with people like Bootsy and just seeing what this element is, you know, and I was in Bonnie Rorell, I'm like, well, what is it that they have, you know, that brings about this certain vibration and something magic. And it just comes from within you. It's just a blessing. And you just have to be open for it. You have to be very humble, and you have to think about the basic things of life, justice and wanting for your fellow man what you want for yourself, what you want for him. You got to think like that. You got to think about everything. You know, the sea wouldn't have parted for Moses if Moses didn't have everything in mind. He had everything in mind, so everything was working for him. While he was moving, everything, seas was parting. Only God knows the kind of things that opened up for him to help him get to where he was going, because he was thinking about everything. And so everything was working for him. And so these are the things that if you get too far into what people trying to push today, you'll miss out on a really fantastic reality. You listen to all these fantasies, and then when the fantastic reality comes, you don't believe it. And that's the trick. That's where the world has deceived you. You don't see the real Superman, you know, and the real magic of what the world is, which is not magic, it's reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Vaughn, you want to say?
I was going to say that sounds just like I was fortunate enough to on my radio show to have the leader and founder of the group Incognito, Bluey. Um, I interviewed him, and the beauty of that man was shining brightly through that interview, and he connected those 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 elements just like you did beautifully there, Lloyd. You know, it's about the humanity. It's about what's real. It's about what's truthful. Um, and you can't argue with truth. It is what it is.
Right. You
And
can't BS it.
and you can't. You literally can't. So you know, it's Louis was just honest and truthful in what he was doing, what he's doing as an artist, and he came a long way from the island of Mauritius off the coast of Africa at 9 years old, moving to London, and you know he's created a monster of a band called Incognito,
Man,
and
that's
they
one of my
are
favorites.
just one of the most well-produced bands I've ever seen. You know, I mean, I grew up with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Incognito is right on their tails. I mean, they do some tremendous work, you know, and he keeps it honest and true, you know. So you know, what you just said connected me to Bluey right there, you know. You
Well,
can't
you know,
argue with humanity.
you're absolutely right, because you either there or you're not.
Right.
You know, either you believe or you don't believe. You know, so it's not about, that's all it is. You either there or you're not there.
Right.
And you know, that's been my same thing, like what Edwin was saying. My life struggle is to be there, think about the right things, keeping a lot of crazy, because you know the devil trying to put a lot of crazy stuff on our mind, and keeping yourself clear of that crazy stuff that the devil will put on your mind, so he could stop progress, because that's all he wants, is to stop progress. And you have
Right.
to fight against that. And once you clear that out, then you know the it's there then, you know. And you know, just having your mind on the right thing.
The right thing.
You know,
Who,
yeah,
Lord,
thinking about the right thing.
right. And in saying that, if you had to talk to the young musicians today, what kind of, I mean, what would you tell them in direction that they should be really focusing on if they are young musicians, other than, you know, the practice aspect, because we know that, you know, you gotta practice. Uh, but, you know, outside of that, you know, what would you tell them to be focusing on
Well, it's one
in the
thing
music world?
in the music world. Uh, uh, the same thing that I have to focus on. You know, just um, be open to expression. You know, like you said, bro. You know, you gotta practice uh, so you can have the facilities to express something. Because you know, my horn, with me, I can speak for myself. I remember Alvin Baptiste said one time, he said, if you sound bad, just think about what you were doing the last 3 days. And he said, if you sound good, think about what you was doing the last 3 days. So the consistency and just making sure you, like you said, have your basic, like, you know, that's all I'm gonna do today is run over all my scales and run over different scales, lip slurs, so I can be sure to whatever I feel, then I can play it. You know, because if your chop's not up, then you can't express yourself. So, and then just to have yourself open, of course, you have to kind of plan what you're going to do. And like I said, being around you, bruh, I've learned so much, and I feel like a student in musically and in life of being around you, you know. And but you have to tell the little babies the same thing you tell a grown person, you know. Just, you know, they all got to know that same truth. Nobody's too young for it, and nobody's too old for it, you know. And I'm getting older, but the same thing. I got to be right out there on the front line, just like the young people. I can't sit back on the rocking chair on the front porch and tell them to go forward. We got to go forward, all of us.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people have not grasped as far as the heritage of, you know, our heritage, music heritage and culture. We're kind of allowing it to, well, they're going to do what they're going to do attitude, so to say, you know. And that's not what, like you said, we are setting back as older musicians and allowing it, you know what I'm saying? Instead of actually telling them, you know, what they should be doing as far as trying to keep themselves, you know, in a situation where they can do this for the rest of their life, simply because
Right.
we already done it, you know, and we're still doing it. You see, a lot of the young ones, we don't know what they'll do in 20 years because they don't have that goal that they have is now. See,
Right.
where we always had the goal of being this forever. You see what I'm saying? That
Right.
kind of thing. It's a whole different
Right.
mindset. You know?
Right.
And they
You
just
know,
need to know those things.
just like Dub Hudson,
Like,
you know, uh,
you
you
just turned
know,
90 years old.
just turned 90. And me and Dub was leaving your house one time, and that was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Dub was about 86 at that time. And Dub said, man, I'm finna go home and practice like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him and said, okay, you done taught me what I need to know. That little
Yeah,
statement he made.
yeah, because he was already a great player. You know,
Right.
he's the kind of guy that you would like, man, you could be around this guy all day long and learn something every minute of the day.
Every
And then
minute of the,
and for him to say something like that, that's really profound.
that's profound. He said, man, I'm finna go home and practice like crazy. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. He 86 years old
And he was about
at
86
that
at that
time.
time.
At that time, yeah. He's 90 now, and I see him a lot of time post, and he still got his horn in his hand. And he's still
He's
practicing
still
at
practicing.
90 years old. You
He
know,
keep his on up to his mouth.
right,
And that's what I try to do, you know. And someone said, well, you eat every day, then you need to practice every day. And
right.
you can't let sex and drugs distract you all of those negative things distract you, and not just sex and drugs, arrogance. There's a lot of things that a lot of people do, and they don't have nothing to do with those upfront negative things that you can do that'll just throw you off and have you on the wrong track.
Yeah, that's one
And
of the
don't, you
main.
know,
That's one of the main things I've always said was that the difference in the innovators like Charlie Parker and Miles and all these innovators that came along, even go back as far as Duke Ellington, they did not have the same distractions as the younger people that came up after. That's why
right,
it was such it's a slow journey for those that came up, the generations that came up after them, because those generations were distracted a lot more on a lot of different things. I mean, think about it like this. Most young people you see looking at their phone all day long. I mean,
right.
that's a distraction. If you put
It
that kind of
is,
time into that, then how much time are you putting into your instrument? How much time are
right?
you putting into yourself? You know, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, when you said distraction, that just rang a bell, and I thought about, me explaining that once to a young musician about how they were distracted by what was around them in their own social, their peer group,
Right.
and even in their everyday life at home and stuff. There's so many distractions, but they're there simply because their peer group is gotten so much pressure on them, to be accepted, as one of them. When in
Right.
some cases you may not want to be one of them.
Right.
There's a difference.
That's
So,
right.
what if Vaughn, you got anything to add to that? Because we getting ready to clock out now. It's about time for us to.
I just wanted to find out, Lloyd, you spent time at Morris Brown?
I spent some time at Morris Brown. I dropped out of school at Southern University to go on the road, and ended up here in Atlanta. And then I started hanging around people like Joe Jennings and Bill Brainerd, and ran into a lot of people that was in education, Eddie Ellis, and people like that. And I ended up going to Morris Brown. I got my degree for me to help with the lower brass and work with them over at Morris Brown, and they gave me a degree.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's,
I spent
I
some
went there.
time over at Morris Brown.
Yeah, I was there from 1983 to 1984, and I got a scholarship from Cleophas Johnson for
Right.
the marching band my first year there, and it was a devastating experience to say the least.
Well,
I learned my lesson at that point. I said, from now on, I'm going to just listen to trombone players as opposed to being one.
yeah.
It,
Well,
I
it was,
mean,
like you
it was an
said, they
experience.
quiet as kept.
I would never, yeah, I would never say that I hated it, but it was the most arduous piece of musicianship I've ever participated in. And
Yeah.
so it was just something I had to experience, and I'm glad I did. From one Wolverine to another, brother, that HBCU life is never ending.
It really is, man. And like I said, I count my blessings, because when I first moved to Atlanta, I didn't know but one person, and uh, and he was a drummer, a guy named John Khalifa. I mean, he's the only person I knew when I moved to Atlanta. I knew one person, and through him, I knew some of the guys with the SOS Band, because the band I was with, we toured with them. A group I was with, we were touring with LTD and the Commodores. So
Wow.
I got to know some of the members with the SOS Band. And but other than that, but when I was in Atlanta, SOS Band traveling all over the world. But I then I started playing with that big band, and from that, it downloaded me into all of the musicians on this side, on the south side of Atlanta. And that's how I got to do a lot of things. And Rod Smith at Morehouse, fantastic guy. and
Right.
hanging with those guys. And then, of course, at Morris Brown, they're the ones that gave me a scholarship. So I just went on, because all my brothers got PhDs and master's degrees. And I just say, well, let me go ahead and get this degree because of them. Pressure from my family. But even I was old. But it was a great experience. Atlanta has been, I just love Atlanta and the circle of people that I'm with in Atlanta. It's home. I love it.
So, Lloyd, if people want to get up with you, do you have a website or email or something they can actually communicate with you? They want to know more about you.
Well, my email is obyloyd@yahoo.com, and sometimes you can just type in Lloyd Oby to tell you a lot of stuff that I've done and a lot of stuff about me. And also, I'm with a rhythm and blues band. We variety. We play blues and rhythm and blues and jazz and all kind of Southern music called the OBEWI Band.com, OBEWI Band.com. You can find out some of the things that I'm doing and stuff that we're doing around town a little bit. And so you can contact me through that.
Okay, on your Oby Lloyd email address, just to let people know, Lloyd Oby, his last name is spelled O-B-Y. A lot
Right.
of people think O-B-E or something like that. O-B,
Right. OBEY. No issue.
E-Y, all these different spellings. Yeah. But anyway,
OBYLLOYD. A lot of people can't spell Lloyd either. But
okay.
it's LLOYD.
Right.
But at yahoo.com.
Okay, then Vaughn, you can let them know how to contact you over there.
Yeah, jazzbeatsradio.com. That's the webpage for the radio station, and it'll give you a full breakdown about where I'm from and how I got into this business and where I'm headed in the future. You can also reach me at my Instagram page at Von Coulter, as well as my my Twitter page under the name Soulscapes, and it's at Von Coulter. So those are the three main ones you can reach me at, and I'm still working at this, getting that, more stuff out there, my YouTube page and numerous other things, but those main three you can find me at, especially at jazzbeatsradio.com.
Well, man, Vaughn, you have a absolutely great voice and great diction. I'm from Louisiana. I can't speak well, but you have a great, great voice, man.
Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate that. I work at it all the time. My GM makes sure that I constantly stay working at my craft, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
You can also pick me up at yesjazzmatters.org. That is a website where you can also learn all about the organization Jazz Matters. It's a 501c3. Also, go on there. We have a donate page. We do accept donations, and just to make sure that we can continue these types of broadcasts. Just like us and subscribe to it. And we have, like I said, once you go on to yesjazzmatters.org, you can find out pretty much everything you need to know about myself and Jazz Matters as an organization. We're 501c3, so we actually have to survive off of donations. But also go to the Jazz Matters store. We have a page there where you purchase things like these T-shirts and stuff, all that good stuff. So we can wrap this one up. And Lloyd, man, thanks for coming through. I know you're a busy guy, but
thank you, Edwin, man. Thank you for your, you keeping it going. And I've always loved you as a brother and respected you as a family man, as just a great, great, great guy, man. And thank you so much for your, for your direction that you're going in, and I'm gonna follow you.
Right. And there's a couple of other guys that you're working with now. I need to get a hold of Bobby, of course, and get him to do this. Uh, how shy he is about doing things like this, I know. I know how he is about that. But for the most part,
He'll do it. He'll
be a good
they'll do it.
Okay, then, and Vaughn, we're going to go ahead and sign this one off.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right.
Until next time.
Till next time.
Yes, sir. Great meeting you, man.
Great meeting you as well.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Be good.